If you have been following the recent student protest, let me explain why Gen Z is on the streets fighting for their rights. It all comes down to the education system we have today. Every year, thousands of students prepare for these exams, IIT JEE, NEET, government jobs, just to secure their future. And what do they get in return? Paper leak, last minute policy changes, cut off, gone by zero point 0.1 mark, zero point 0.2 marks. And the shocking thing is, one exam decides their entire future, and by chance they do not clear it, their future is jeopardized. And when you put this amount of pressure on students in a highly competitive exam, what happens is some students cannot bear this pressure, and naturally these student suicides keep happening. And 21 students committed suicide this year because of the NEET paper leak. And this is why Gen Z is on the streets fighting for this, because these student suicides are not it didn't just happen this year, it has been happening for years now. Okay, that frustration is it just spilled out this year actually. So let me explain about this education system we have in India. Okay, this is a 20th century education system, okay, that we are following, put into 21st century. Okay, so this is a very outdated education system that we are following today. Let's go back to 1850s and 1860s. Okay, there was this person called Lord Macaulay. He is the person who designed this education system to control Indians, to make them clerks in his factories, in under the British officers. So what he wanted to do is, he wanted to divide and rule the country. That was his main objective. So how does he do it? Break the education system. We had the best Gurukul system in our country. We had Nalanda before this education system, and we produced lot of scholars in it. So what he did is, he broke the Gurukul system and implemented his own Macaulay's education system, where he produced clerks for factories under British officers. So this was his main objective. And what happened is, we didn't think much about it, okay, and didn't scrap it after 1947. We followed this through, and that thing which we didn't change in 1947 followed us through even till now. And let me give you a context here. Okay, people who have been studying in this education system from nursery to their bachelor's, master's, or PhD. One thing you have noticed is that there is a lot of rote learning. You have to copy the exact thing, okay, memorize the exact thing in the textbook, and write it in your exam sheet. Exact thing, you cannot go here and there. Okay, what happens when you do this copy and paste? Naturally you kill the thinking abilities of that student. You naturally kill it, because you are not telling them to think creatively. How can this happen like this? How can this happen this way, that way? 100 different ways. You are only telling that it can happen one way, and that is my way. Okay, that is how students are like punished into obedience and submission. Okay, that is what the education system seeks. Okay, rote learning and memorization kills your creative thinking, kills your dreams, and makes you fear the authorities. But what happens when you make thousands of people follow it? Student suicides, and people who cannot think for themselves. That is what is happening in India. Okay, So look at our psychology field only. Okay, recently they scrapped MPhil. Okay, now there is no need of doing MPhil. That is the old system. Okay, to get the RCI license, now you can just get an MSc degree and then RCI license with it. So if you do last minute policy changes like this, what happens to people who have done their masters already? Okay, what happens to people who have done MPhil, put 2 more years into it? You have just made it all of a sudden that people have been thinking, what is this policy change all of a sudden? What happens to people who have like invested their money and efforts into that degree? Nobody has thought about it. So this is not all right, actually. Now, now how can someone do a double masters and all? Not everyone has the time and money to actually do a double masters. So this is what the education system is. It is outdated. It is not for the current generation. Okay, and we are feeling this right now. So what happened after COVID 2020 is a lot of people went online because the world was shut down and meetings happened online, and then a lot of people lost their jobs, and that is the time when these mental health issues just came up. So, and in 2021 2022 AI came off all of a sudden. So all of a sudden a whole generation which was following an outdated education system is pushed into an artificial intelligence generation. Just think about it. And a job market where there are no jobs. First time in a generation, there are no jobs. And people kept blaming Gen Z for everything, that you are lazy, that you do not work, and you don't have the discipline to work in a company. But if you are handing us this job market, if you are handing us this education system, how can we even like try to make an effort into it? Okay, and look at the amount of unemployed people in India. It's huge actually, and a lot of these people are doing Swiggy and Rapido on the streets. Everybody has a bachelor degree now. Okay, that is the result of a broken education system that we have today. Okay, all this youth could be utilized in a factory, utilized for development of the country, but they became delivery drivers, they became like you know people who have theory in their head but no skills. Okay, this is what the result of following a broken education system that we have today. So I just wanted to say, when people just got introduced to this AI apps and AI websites, all of a sudden layoffs happened. Okay, first it followed from US, Europe, and then slowly it came to India. Okay, people were experiencing this already in US and Europe, and then it came to India, and all these people who had outdated skill got fired. We were getting news every day that layoffs were happening, these many companies have fired these many workers. Okay, a lot of people went into unemployment. Okay, because the job market demanded new skills, and you haven't trained the young population for these new skills. Okay, and then you kept blaming the Gen Z that they are lazy and undisciplined. I don't think it is fair. Okay, also uh, like a lot of these Gen Z people, okay, whom these older generations called untalented and not uh, working hard or undisciplined, quit companies. Okay, a lot of the Gen Z people right now, quit these toxic workplaces. Okay, so when a student or college graduate wants to work in a company or as an intern or as a working professional, they want a very healthy environment in the offices. They don't want any unhealthy competition. Okay, and if they were given overtime work, they demand overtime pay. Okay, and they want the office to be 9 to 5 and not 9 to 10. And when questioned about why you are making us work 4 more hours, 5 more hours, they are telling that they are creating discipline. A lot of our older generations followed this trend of overworking so that they can be called as hardworking employees, disciplined employees, okay, first ranker employees, and all that. But Gen Z is the only generation that is questioning this toxic workplace, that is questioning the toxic bosses, that is questioning the overtime work. Because if you can finish the work in 2 hours, why do you have to do it in 5 hours, 10 hours, just to showcase it to your colleagues and managers? So they are being very practical, they are being very objective in their thinking, they are not wasting time. Okay, they are focusing on their work, and they know it in their mind that work is not life. This is what the older generations followed. Work is life. They don't have any hobbies. But Gen Z is the first generation in India that is questioning these policies. Work is not life. Work life balance is life, because they want to work from 9 to 5 as per the company rules, and just go back like home and relax, or just go out and have some entertainment for themselves so that they can relax. And when the older generations look at this thing, they are saying that this is undisciplined, Gen Z is not hardworking, Gen Z is very lazy. But actually Gen Z is the only intelligent generation. Gen Z is the only generation that has the spine to question these toxic bosses, toxic workplaces, and demanding overtime pay. Okay, so Gen Z, I think, will change India, because we already went on the streets to fight for our rights. Okay, no matter what you say, Gen Z is the generation that is going to change India in the future. Okay, so I just wanted to put this out. And one more thing I wanted to like point out is that due to the new education policy that we have, like this was implemented in 2020, new education policy bill, and I was the most happiest at that time to hear that there was a policy change in the education system. And it is very nice to actually witness that things are actually changing. For example, look at the history books. Okay, Britishers were glorified. Britishers were glorified to an extent that they gave us railways and English language. Until Dr. Shashi Tharoor's Oxford speech, people kept on glamorizing these Britishers and Mughals. But the truth is very different. Truth is very different. Until that Oxford speech, everybody thought that British have this white man's burden. But after that speech, everything changed. So now, if you see the latest textbooks on the Mughals and British officers, you can clearly see that there is a change. And a lot of freedom fighters who were not even given a recognition are in the textbooks actually. So these are the new education policy changes that we are experiencing right now, and it is very, very, very like a good moment to see all this after having been in this education system for 20 years now. Okay, so even the current like the textbooks of 6th class and 7th class, what is happening is they have this textbook where they are learning about AI, they are learning about websites, and they were learning about graphic design and all. And it is amazing to see that, because when we were there, the computer, uh, so we had this, there is a computer, there is a monitor, there is a keyboard, there is a mouse, and then done, we had this thing, Windows XP thing. But the current generation has it good. Actually, we are upgrading, so all the textbooks have upgraded and all that. Also, uh, this is a very good news, but what is happening is, I wanted to point out another thing about what is happening with these coaching centers. Okay, so what these coaching centers are actually uh, making the students more stressed, making the students more uh, you know giving them a lot of tension and stress just to crack one exam, which is unfair. You cannot give such amount of burden to students who have like developing brains at that stage. And then these people like are shocked that they committed suicide. How can you give such amount of stress with an exam that has a zero point 0.1 chance? World's toughest exams are in India only: NEET, IIT, UPSC, government jobs, and all these things. So I think it is very unfair to push these students into this competitive exams. Okay, even after that they have to struggle anyway. It is not like it is very very, you know people have it easy and they are traveling the world and millionaires. Even after cracking the exam, they have to work hard. So it is just unfair to put so much of pressure into these exams. And look at how the coaching centers just operate. They operate from 10th class. They act as a pipeline. Actually, they act as a pipeline from 10th, 12th, bachelor's, masters, and PhD. Okay, they just want students, they want to mend them from 10th class to 12th class, just to get them into engineering college, top engineering college and medical colleges. Yes, there is one point that a lot of people did get benefit from these coaching centers because they emphasized on studying, because a lot of other colleges didn't. And they a lot of students did get benefit of these coaching centers, and they prepared well. And also a lot of people cracked these entrance exams and all. But what I am telling is, what about the others? Okay, if you are separated from your sections, from people who are studying very well and people who are studying a little less, if you are separated into two rooms in these coaching centers, and you are creating division between them, that these are the people who are studying well, these are the people who are not studying well, naturally you are killing their confidence, you are killing the confidence in the children. Instead of elevating it, instead of boosting their confidence, so this is just unfair. And you're giving them books and books to buy with high fees, and telling them just prepare, otherwise you will get nowhere. So, and this system, these parents and relatives and all these people just put the pressure on the child to prepare for IIT, NEET, and all these competitive exams, because they fear for the security of children. Okay, they think that engineering is the only path to success, medicine is the only path to success, which is so untrue in this current generation. Look at how content creation and social media marketing has come up. Okay, people are making a lot of money in that also. People are dancing on the internet, people are creating art on the internet and earning money. So how can you tell that engineering and medicine is the only pathway to success? So the times have changed, the generation has changed, but we are following the old mentality. Okay, so I think uh, you know following these old methods will give us nothing in the end, just student suicides and people who are mentally broken. That is what we get. Okay, people who have low confidence, low self esteem, just because they didn't clear an exam. Okay, and these coaching centers, I think, should be actually have these important changes to have a mental health counselor or psychologist. Every coaching center should have a mental health counselor, I think, to reduce these student suicides. Okay, but uh, you know, I personally feel that we are not going in the right way with these coaching centers. Education should be, you know, a very rewarding process. It should not be a reason for your stress or your mental breakdown. It should be very rewarding. We have to implement all kinds of activities in children. What I noticed in these coaching centers is they don't want you to like participate in sports. Most of the Indian schools and colleges, they don't like you participating in these sport activities. Okay, so even these coaching centers have apartment buildings and small grounds to play with. And how can the overall development of child happen when you're putting them in like matchboxes like this? You build a apartment and call it a university. You build an apartment and call it a college, school, which is so unfair. Students need a lot of space. Students need a lot of activities to build their personality. If you are putting them into matchboxes and telling them to study only this to crack an entrance exam which is highly competitive, I think you are doing injustice to them. Okay, you are stealing their childhood from them. That is a very bad thing to do, actually. So following this broken education system, I don't know how many people have lost their confidence, how many people have lost their self esteem and opportunities. Okay, just because people said crack this exam and your life will be set. No, it's not. Okay, and look at the corporate coaching, these corporate coaching centers. Like even if I meet any of my like people in random people near these colleges, they tell me that they don't like it. Okay, they don't like to be put in these coaching centers, matchboxes, and tell them to study for 10 hours a day. Okay, so this is just so unfair. Okay, just to recover from that 2 years of coaching, they had to like be in the engineering college and just recover from that kind of stress. Okay, that is the amount of stress these people are putting in, and then they are complaining why students are doing suicide. Are they are doing it because the amount of pressure you are putting onto it. And these parents needs to understand that sometimes children have their own talent and own skills, and we have to encourage it. Okay, instead what do? If a child has a passion for shooting on their camera, they tell them just prepare for IIT and NEET, and you can do it in engineering colleges. And by the time they lost the passion for it, and people who are doing cricket and basketball, they tell them just prepare for IIT and NEET, you can do it in engineering or medical colleges or after that. But after that they lose the passion. Okay, so you are actually killing the curiosity of the young brains in the country, and then you are expecting that these people should go and win medals. Okay, in sports I'm telling. So if you are not encouraging people to get into cricket, basketball, get into badminton and all this wrestling and all that, then how do you expect Olympic gold medals? Okay, I think this is last year or I mean years ago, or even if it is happening right now, India just doesn't win Olympic gold medals anymore. Rarely one or two it just wins. In a country of crores of population, one or two wins Olympic gold medals. Okay, and you know the amount of training it takes for Olympics and all, it's huge. Okay, and we don't have the facilities for that. We don't have the facilities to do prepare students for sports and all. We are just emphasizing on security, engineering, medicine, and CA and lawyer and all this. But different students have different skills. We need to adapt to their way of thinking, their way of you know developing their skills and all, so that they can uh, like thrive and grow into their own person. But if you're killing their natural curiosity and like injecting your pushing your own thoughts that this person should be an IIT, this person should get into IIT, this person should get into medical colleges, what do you expect? Okay, so you are unknowingly creating a country where people have low confidence, they don't believe in themselves. Okay, people with uh, you know just talking about what they have and not about the intellectual quality of discussion. Okay, we have ruined an entire generation just because of these competitive exams, just because of the fear of security. Okay, and this needs to stop eventually. And this is why the Gen Z is on the streets protesting for their rights. And after years of this bottling up these feelings inside every student, they came on the streets to fight for their rights. And and this is the right time to actually make amends to the education system we have today. Once the education system changes from having obedience towards the authorities to questioning them, okay, and changing the rote learning system to creative thinking, and then encouraging sports and arts and humanities as subjects instead of IIT and medicine, and not putting a lot of pressure on students to prepare for this exam, and instead cultivating their minds to actually think creatively, think out of box, how can this happen, how can that happen, and make them thrive as their own human beings, make them thrive as the becoming their own person. You cannot do anything. Okay, we have to implement such kind of system, because even in the US, UK, there is nothing called obedience to authority, or I mean, they are not focused on that. They are focused on developing the overall personality of the child. You don't see that in Indian schools, you don't see that in Indian colleges. Okay, questioning the authority is taken as a disrespect. I don't understand why, because if a naturally curious child asks a lot of questions, what problem do you have? Okay, you're killing their curiosity and terming it as discipline, which is very wrong thing to do. Okay, and these things, no, like the nursery to 10th and 11th, 12th, and engineering, and after doing engineering and corporate job and all, people just don't have any dreams and goals for themselves. They are just focused on survival. This is the whole generation that you have created with this education system, a broken education system with outdated outdated rules and regulations. So it is about time that Gen Z has come on the streets to protest against these policies and regulations which are trying to pressure them into a job market and employment which is toxic and you know kind of like unfit for the current generation. It is very valid that they are taking it out. Okay, the previous generation didn't take it out. The current generation has the spine to actually speak about these things. I think Gen Z is the only generation that is going to change India in the future. So that is what I wanted to talk about. Thank you. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll make more videos like this. Okay, thank you.